My name is Kirby Wilson. I'm a reporter for the Tampa Bay Times Miami Herald Bureau in Tallahassee. This legislative session, I'm going to be watching the healthcare budget, which is always a huge talking point. But this year, it's going to be a little bit different because the state is flush with cash. We've got billions of dollars in federal funding coming our way, and our economy is roaring. So lawmakers should be able to pass whatever priorities they decide are most important to the state of Florida. I'm also going to be looking out for telehealth issues. There is a bill that could expand access to telehealth for medical marijuana patients, and also a bill that could expand access to it generally. I'll be curious to see how that plays out. And finally, the abortion debate is going to be raging in Florida, as always. But this year, there's a little extra added interest because of the two Supreme Court cases that are working their way through the courts in Washington. So it'll be interesting to see whether further restrictions get passed or whether the state courts could block any potential laws that the Republican-led legislature decides to pass.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Maurer with the Tampa Bay Times, and during the upcoming legislative session, I'll be covering two big topics: voting and pocketbook issues. Voting was a big issue during the last legislative session. Donald Trump had alleged widespread voter fraud, and Republicans, including DeSantis, wanted to do something about that to appease their base. And they passed a number of laws this session, changing how you can vote by mail and where you can use ballot drop boxes and things like that. And it looks like voting is going to be another fight this year. DeSantis wants to increase penalties on so-called ballot harvesting, or the collection of vote by mail ballots. And he also wants to create a new Office of Election Crime and Security with 45 people to basically go after voter fraud or whatever cases of voter fraud there might be in the state. Another big issue, of course, will be pocketbook issues. Florida is becoming a pretty expensive state to live in when you factor in housing prices, rental costs, property insurance is going up big time. Auto insurance has been high for a really long time in Florida. And we're going to see what are lawmakers going to do about that this year.
I'm Anna Ceballos from the Miami Herald, and during the legislative session, I'll be watching developments in education and the hot button issue of immigration. In education, there's been a lot of focus on the issue of critical race theory, mainly a focus led by DeSantis, and he is trying to ask lawmakers to root out the legal academic concept that holds that institutional racism impacts society. And the State Board of Education has already banned the concept in K-12 schools, but now he's trying to go into the state's education system, and he's also trying to target diversity and equity training in the workplace. This has some of his Democratic opponents and critics concerned, saying that it could be dangerous to start going into the higher education system where students are supposed to be exposed to a wide range of ideas. Immigration has also been a main focus of Governor Ron DeSantis as he continues to attack President Joe Biden's immigration policies. He has asked lawmakers to approve proposals that would allow the state to contract with private companies and transporting undocumented immigrants to other parts of the state. He's also trying to create stricter requirements for private providers to be able to house and care for migrant children on behalf of the federal state government.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Kloss, Capitol Bureau Chief of the Miami Herald. In this legislative session, I will be covering redistricting, energy, and preemption issues, among other things. Now, redistricting is a task that legislators have over once every 10 years, and tensions are high. I'll be watching to see how carefully they follow constitutional guidelines as they move forward with maps that have received really very little public input or scrutiny. Every legislator is going to have to run in a new district. I'm also keeping an eye on issues that are going to be promoted by industries that contribute large donations to legislators' political campaigns. One of those issues, for example, is an anti-metering bill being pushed by the utility industry. It would essentially reduce incentives for people to install rooftop solar on their homes and businesses. Another issue I'm watching is what's going to happen with condominium regulation in the wake of the Champlain Tower collapse in Surfside. These are all some of the issues and many more that we'll be watching.